The village of Nkosi sat quietly at the base of the great hill. Everyone in the village knew the rule: never go near the hill after sunset. The elders often told stories about a shadowy figure, Maliki, who roamed the hill at night. Some said Maliki was once a powerful man who had lost something precious, and now he wandered the hill seeking revenge on anyone who dared to disturb him. That evening, as the village gathered for a meal, Kwame's mind was on the hill. He couldn't stop thinking about the shadowy figure and the stories the elders told. When his friends, Kofi and Oma, joined him by the fire, he decided to share his bold plan. "I'm going up the hill tonight," Kwame announced confidently. Kofi gasped, his eyes wide with fear. "You can't. The elders say it's cursed. Maliki will come for you." Oma shook her head, warning him, "Kwame, please don't go. It's dangerous." But Kwame was determined. "You'll see," he replied with a grin. "There's no such thing as curses." As the moon rose high in the sky, Kwame quietly slipped out of his family's hut and began his journey toward the hill, the shadows growing longer as he approached. Little did he know that with every step, the ancient curse was stirring awake. Kwame's heart pounded as he made his way up the hill. The night air was cool, and the village behind him seemed far away. He climbed higher and higher, the rocky path becoming more difficult. He paused to catch his breath, looking down at the quiet village below. But then, something strange happened. A cold breeze blew past him, making him shiver. The air felt heavy, like something was watching him. Kwame shook off the uneasy feeling and kept climbing. "It's just the wind," he told himself. As he reached the top, he found a flat clearing surrounded by tall trees. In the center of the clearing was a large stone, covered in moss and cracks. Kwame walked closer, curious about the strange stone. As he touched it, a low rumble echoed through the air. The ground beneath him trembled slightly, and the wind howled louder. "Maybe I should go back," Kwame thought, but before he could move, a dark shadow stretched across the clearing. Kwame froze as the shadow moved toward him. It wasn't just the night playing tricks, it was real. The shadow grew larger, twisting and swirling until it formed the shape of a man. His eyes glowed red like burning embers. Kwame's breath caught in his throat as he realized he had awakened something terrible. "Who dares disturb my rest?" the shadowy figure growled. Kwame's knees shook, but he managed to speak, his voice barely a whisper. I didn't mean to. I was just curious." The figure moved closer, its voice cold and sharp. "Curiosity comes with a price. I am Maliki, and you have awakened the curse of this hill. Now, the village will pay for what was stolen from me centuries ago." Kwame's heart raced with fear. He didn't understand what Maliki was talking about, but he knew one thing: he had to get out of there. Without another word, Kwame turned and ran down the hill, the shadow of Maliki following close behind. By the time Kwame reached the village, it was already in chaos. Strange things were happening: fires flickered and went out, animals howled and ran wild, and people hurried out of their homes, confused and scared. The once peaceful village was now in panic. Kwame's mother, Ya, found him and grabbed his arm. "Kwame, what have you done?" she cried, her eyes wide with fear. "I told you not to go near the hill." "I didn't know, Mama," Kwame shouted, tears welling up in his eyes. "I didn't know this would happen." The village elder, Bobatand, appeared, his face stern. "You have unleashed the curse, Kwame. Maliki has returned, and he seeks revenge. We must find a way to stop him before it's too late." But how could they stop a shadow? Kwame looked back at the hill, where the dark figure of Maliki hovered, watching the village below. He knew this was his fault, and now he had to fix it, somehow. The elders quickly gathered in the center of the village. Bobatand led the meeting, his voice calm but filled with urgency. "We must act quickly," he said, his eyes sweeping over the frightened villagers. "The curse of Maliki has been awakened, and it threatens us all." Kwame stood on the edge of the circle, feeling small and helpless. This was all his fault, but he didn't know how to fix it. "What do we do, Boba?" one of the elders asked. "There is only one way," Bobatand replied. "We must discover what was stolen from Maliki all those years ago. Only then can we make things right." Kwame's heart sank. He had never heard the full story of Maliki before. What had been stolen? And how could he, a young boy, possibly find it and return it? With no other choice, Kwame stepped forward. "I find out what was stolen," he said, his voice shaking but filled with determination. "I woke the curse, so I have to fix it." The elders looked at him, surprised by his courage. Bobatand nodded. "Very well, Kwame. But you will not go alone. Kofi and Oma will go with you." Kwame's friends stepped forward, both looking nervous but ready to help. "We'll find the truth together," Oma said, offering a small smile. And so, with the weight of the village's fate on their shoulders, Kwame, Kofi, and Oma set off on their journey to uncover the truth behind Maliki's curse, unaware of the dangers that awaited them in the dark shadows of Nkosi Hill. As Kwame, Kofi, and Oma left the village behind, the weight of what they were about to face pressed on them. The night was darker than usual, and every rustling leaf or distant sound made them jump. The path they followed led into the Mbola forest, which stretched out beyond Nkosi Hill. Many said it was a place of ancient magic, where spirits roamed freely. Oma clutched a small wooden charm her grandmother had given her for protection. "Are you sure this is the right way?" she whispered, glancing nervously at the trees around them. Kwame nodded, though doubt gnawed at him. The elders said the truth lies in the forest. "We have to find what Maliki lost." Kofi, usually the most talkative of the group, remained silent, his eyes darting from side to side. "I don't like this," he muttered, his voice barely above a whisper. But they pressed on, deeper into the woods. The trees grew taller, and the moonlight barely reached through the thick canopy of leaves. It was as if the forest itself was trying to keep them out. Suddenly, they heard a soft whisper on the wind. "Return, go back." The voice was faint, but clear enough to send chills down their spines. Kwame stopped in his tracks. "Did you hear that?" Oma and Kofi nodded, their faces pale. "Maybe we should turn back," Oma suggested, but Kwame shook his head. "No. We have to keep going. This is the only way." With each step, the whispering grew louder, and soon the air around them seemed to hum with unseen energy. Something ancient and powerful was watching them. As the trio continued their journey, the forest suddenly opened into a small clearing. In the middle of the clearing stood a hut, old and worn, with smoke rising from its chimney. A crooked fence surrounded it, and the door creaked slightly as if inviting them inside. "Who lives here?" Kofi asked, his voice low. Oma shuddered. "I've heard stories. There's an old woman who lives deep in the forest. They say she knows the secrets of Nkosi Hill." Kwame approached the door cautiously and knocked. The door slowly creaked open on its own, revealing a dimly lit room. Inside sat an old woman, hunched over a small fire. Her hair was long and grey, and her wrinkled face was hidden by shadows. "Come in," the woman rasped, her voice as dry as leaves. The three friends exchanged nervous glances but stepped inside. The woman's eyes gleamed as she looked at them. "I know why you're here," she said before they could speak. "You seek the truth of Maliki." Kwame swallowed hard. "Yes. We need to know what was stolen from him. The village is in danger." The old woman's bony fingers traced the rim of her clay cup as she spoke. Maliki was once a great chief, beloved by his people. But his greed led him to take what wasn't his, a powerful relic that belonged to the spirits of the hill. Kwame's eyes widened. A relic? The woman nodded slowly. A sacred stone, the heart of the hill's magic. Maliki took it, thinking it would make him invincible. But instead, it cursed him, binding him to the hill for all eternity. Until the stone is returned, he will never rest. The fire crackled, casting eerie shadows on the walls. Kwame felt a shiver run down his spine. Where is the stone now? The old woman's gaze turned dark. It lies deep within the heart of the hill, guarded by shadows and spirits. If you wish to save your village, you must retrieve it. But be warned, young one, the path to the stone is full of danger. Few have gone, and none have returned. Kwame felt his stomach twist with fear. He had awakened this curse, and now he had to face the consequences. The old woman's warning echoed in his mind, no one had ever returned from the heart of the hill. But there was no turning back now. We have to find the stone, Kwame said firmly, though his voice trembled slightly. It's the only way to stop Maliki. The old woman nodded approvingly. You have courage, boy. But courage alone won't help you. Take this, she said, handing him a small pouch made of animal skin. Inside is dust from the hill itself. It will guide you to the stone, but use it wisely. The spirits will try to deceive you. Kwame took the pouch, his fingers trembling slightly. Thank you, he said, bowing his head. The woman's eyes softened for a moment. Remember, child. The shadows are not always what they seem. With that, the three friends left the hut and returned to the dark forest. The wind seemed to whisper around them, carrying the weight of the old woman's words. The journey ahead was dangerous, but Kwame knew they had no choice. Time was running out for the village, and only they could stop Maliki. As they ventured deeper into the forest, the trees seemed to close in around them, and the path grew more treacherous. The ground was uneven, and strange noises echoed from the darkness. Every step felt heavier than the last. Are we sure we're going the right way? Kofi asked, his voice shaky. Kwame held up the pouch the old woman had given him. The dust will guide us, he said, though he wasn't entirely sure how it worked. He opened the pouch and blew a small amount of the dust into the air. The dust shimmered in the moonlight, swirling around them before drifting off in a specific direction, like a trail of tiny stars. Follow it, Kwame whispered, and they hurried after the glowing dust. But the deeper they went, the colder the air became. Suddenly, a low growl came from the shadows. Kwame stopped, his heart pounding. Did you hear that? Oma grabbed his arm. Something's out there. Before they could react, a figure stepped out of the darkness, a large, shadowy beast with glowing eyes and sharp claws. It growled again, its teeth bared. Kwame's heart raced as he realized they were face to face with one of the spirits guarding the hill's secret. The beast's eyes locked onto them, and for a moment, everything stood still. Then it lunged. Kwame, Kofi, and Oma barely had time to react as the shadowy beast lunged at them. Kwame instinctively grabbed the pouch of dust and threw a handful into the air. The dust shimmered and formed a barrier between them and the beast, causing it to halt mid-attack. The beast snarled, confused by the shimmering dust. For a moment, it backed away, but its glowing eyes never left Kwame. Why have you come here? The voice boomed from the shadows. Kwame's heart raced, but he forced himself to stand tall. We are here to return what was stolen from Maliki, he said. We want to stop the curse. The beast circled them slowly, its massive form towering over them. Many have tried. None have succeeded. We are different, Oma said bravely, though her hands trembled. We'll return the stone. The bee stopped in its tracks, considering their words. Very well, it growled. But the path ahead is dangerous. You will face more than shadows. Are you willing to risk everything? Kwame glanced at his friends. Fear gripped him, but he knew there was no turning back now. We are. The beast growled again, but this time it stepped aside, revealing a hidden path that led deeper into the heart of the forest. Then follow the path. But remember, only those who are pure of heart will succeed. With a final warning, the beast vanished into the shadows, leaving Kwame, Kofi, and Oma to face whatever lay ahead. With the beast gone, the forest seemed eerily silent. Kwame, Oma, and Kofi stood at the edge of the newly revealed path, their hearts pounding with a mixture of fear and determination. The narrow trail stretched out before them, winding through the thick trees and disappearing into the darkness ahead. This is it, Kwame whispered, gripping the pouch of dust tightly. We are getting closer. Oma hesitated for a moment, looking down the path. Do you think we'll make it? Her voice was soft, almost a whisper. Kofi, always the most cautious, glanced nervously at the trees surrounding them. The bee said only those pure of heart will succeed. What if we aren't? Kwame swallowed his fear and forced a smile. We have to believe in ourselves. We've come this far, and we can't turn back now. Together, they stepped onto the path, each footfall echoing in the stillness of the night. The air grew colder as they walked, and strange whispers seemed to follow them, faint but persistent, as if the forest itself was alive and watching their every move. As they ventured deeper, the trees began to change. The once vibrant greenery was replaced by twisted branches and gnarled roots, and the sky above seemed to vanish behind a thick canopy of black leaves. It was as if the forest was slowly closing in on them, swallowing them whole. Stay close, Kwame instructed, glancing back at Oma and Kofi. We can't get separated. Suddenly, a faint glow appeared up ahead. At first, it was just a flicker of light, but as they approached, it grew brighter. The source of the light came from a cluster of strange, glowing flowers, their petals shimmering like stars in the darkness. Oma gasped, kneeling beside the flowers. They're beautiful, but why are they here? Kwame knelt down beside her, inspecting the flowers. I don't know, but they feel powerful. Before they could examine them further, a sudden gust of wind rushed through the forest, blowing out the light from the flowers and plunging them back into darkness. The whispers grew louder, more menacing. Keep moving, Kwame urged, standing quickly. We have to find the stone before it's too late. With each step, the whispers seemed to grow more aggressive, and the weight of the forest pressed down on them. The path twisted and turned, and soon it felt as though they were walking in circles. We're lost, Kofi muttered, his voice filled with dread. We are never going to find the stone. But Kwame refused to give in to the fear. He pulled out the pouch of dust once more and scattered it into the air. The dust sparkled for a moment, then drifted off in the direction of the heart of the hill. This way, Kwame said, leading them deeper into the forest. As they followed the shimmering dust, the path grew narrower, and the forest around them seemed to change once again. The trees became older, their bark dark and twisted, and strange symbols appeared on the trunks, glowing faintly in the dim light. Oma ran her fingers over one of the symbols, her eyes wide with wonder. These symbols, they're ancient. I've never seen anything like them. Kofi looked uneasy. I don't like this. It feels like we're being watched. Kwame nodded, feeling the same eerie sensation. We are close. I can feel it. Suddenly, the whispers that had followed them grew louder, and this time, they weren't just random sounds. They were voices, distinct, clear voices speaking in a language none of them recognized. Kwame froze, listening carefully. The voices seemed to come from everywhere at once, echoing through the trees. He couldn't understand the words, but the tone was unmistakable: anger, sorrow, and a deep, ancient longing. "What are they saying?" Oma asked, her voice trembling. "I don't know," Kwame admitted, "but they're not happy." As they pressed on, the voices grew more insistent, and soon, strange figures began to appear in the darkness, shadows, faint and translucent, moving between the trees. They flickered like distant memories, their faces blurred and indistinct. "They're spirits," Oma whispered, her eyes wide with fear. "We are walking among the dead." Kwame's heart raced as he realized she was right. These weren't just shadows, they were the restless spirits of those who had been cursed by the hill. And now, they were watching them. "We need to keep moving," Kwame said, his voice tense. "The stone must be close." But just as they began to move forward, one of the spirits stepped directly into their path. It was taller than the others, its form more solid, and its eyes glowed with an eerie light. "You dare to enter our domain?" the spirit's voice boomed, sending shivers down Kwame's spine. "Why do you seek the heart of the hill?" Kwame swallowed hard, his throat dry. We are here to return what was stolen. We want to stop Maliki's curse." The spirit regarded him with cold, glowing eyes. "Many have come before you with the same promise. All have failed." Kwame stood tall, refusing to back down. "We are different. We will return the stone." The spirit's expression remained unreadable. "If you wish to continue, you must prove your worth." Before Kwame could ask how, the ground beneath their feet began to tremble. The air grew heavy, But Kwame, a curious and rebellious boy, never believed in the stories. "They're just trying to scare us," he often said to his friends. One sunny afternoon, while playing near the hill, Kwame stared up at its rocky slopes and wondered what could be so dangerous. His heart raced with excitement. The thought of adventure made him smile. "I'm going up there tonight," Kwame whispered to himself, unaware of the trouble that awaited. The forest around them seemed to pulse with energy. "Prepare yourselves," the spirit warned. "The hill will test you." As the spirit's words hung in the air, the forest erupted into chaos. The ground beneath Kwame, Oma, and Kofi began to shift and crack, and the once silent trees groaned as their branches twisted violently in the wind. The path before them split apart, revealing a deep chasm that seemed to stretch endlessly into the earth. Oma grabbed Kwame's arm, her eyes wide with terror. "What's happening?" Kofi stumbled backward, nearly losing his balance as the ground continued to shake. "We need to get out of here." But Kwame knew there was no turning back. This was the test the spirit had warned them about. The hill was challenging their resolve. Thank you so much for watching this video. Your support means the world to us. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up, leave a comment with your thoughts, and share it with your friends and family. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and hit the notification bell so you never miss out on more stories like this. We appreciate each and every one of you and look forward to bringing you more engaging content like this. See you in the next video.